Welcome to Capital Catch-Up, your go-to source for the latest legislative action from Washington. I am Victor.
And I am Lenny. Today we are diving deep into a wide array of newly introduced bills, ranging from healthcare and housing to national security and public finance. We will also look at the latest proceedings from the House of Representatives.
Let us start with healthcare, which is a major focus of several new proposals. First up is House Resolution 10,087, also known as the Cancer Care Planning and Communications Act. This bill proposes to amend the Social Security Act to expand Medicare coverage. Specifically, it would include comprehensive cancer care planning and coordination services.
That is right, Victor. This bill targets systemic inequities and gaps in cancer treatment. It aims to ensure that patients receive structured, personalized care plans. These plans would incorporate shared decision-making, symptom management, and psychosocial support from the time of diagnosis all the way through survivorship. By providing formal Medicare reimbursement for these planning services, the legislation aims to standardize high-quality care and align treatment with recommendations from the Institute of Medicine.
Sticking with preventative health care, we also have House Resolution 10100. This bill would amend both the Social Security Act and the Public Health Service Act. It proposes to provide no-cost coverage for annual screening mammography beginning at 30 years of age. This would apply to Titles 18 and 19 of the Social Security Act and Title 27 of the Public Health Service Act, expanding access to early detection for younger women.
Another significant public health measure is House Resolution 10,086, the Diabetes Prevention Program Reauthorization Act of 2026. This bill aims to provide continued federal funding for the National Diabetes Prevention Program by amending the Public Health Service Act. It sets up a structured increase in annual appropriations, starting at $39.3 million for fiscal year 2027 and scaling up to $59.3 million by fiscal year 2031. This bill has been referred to the Committee on Energy and Commerce for further consideration.
And to address the rising cost of treatment, we have House Resolution 10,094, the Affordable Pricing for Taxpayer-Funded Prescription Drugs Act of 2026. Under this bill, any entity receiving federal grants or contracts for biomedical research must agree to price their products reasonably for American consumers. Specifically, the price in the United States cannot exceed the median cost of the same product in other large, high-income economies.
It also adds a lot of transparency. Manufacturers would be required to publicly report their clinical trial costs, federal subsidies, and annual revenues. If prices become a barrier to access or exceed revenue targets, the bill establishes mechanisms to lower those prices. It is a direct effort to ensure that taxpayer-funded innovations remain affordable and accessible.
Now let us transition to housing and infrastructure. There is an interesting proposal in House Resolution 10,102, the Data Center Community Reinvestment Act of 2026. This bill, introduced by Representative Salinas, proposes a new federal excise tax of 1 cent per kilowatt-hour on large-scale data centers that have a power capacity exceeding 1 megawatt.
That is a significant move, Victor. Data centers consume massive amounts of energy, and this excise tax is designed to leverage that consumption for public investment. The revenue collected would be divided equally among 5 areas: the Land and Water Conservation Fund, the Housing Trust Fund, the Hazardous Substance Superfund, the Highway Trust Fund, and a newly created Energy Technology Trust Fund, which will support energy-related loan guarantees. It is an effort to offset the environmental and infrastructure impacts of these massive facilities.
Speaking of housing, we also have House Resolution 10,084, the First-Time Homebuyer Debt Reduction Act. This bill regulates how student loan payments made by third parties on behalf of homebuyers are treated during real estate transactions. It mandates that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac classify these payments as financial concessions when applied to the purchase of a newly constructed principal residence.
To make mortgage underwriting clearer, the bill caps these financial concessions at $25,000. Any amount above that would be classified as a sales concession. This standardization could help first-time homebuyers who receive student loan assistance from employers or other third parties. Additionally, to address broader systemic issues, House Resolution 10,096 proposes to establish the Task Force on the Impact of the Affordable Housing Crisis.
Moving on to public safety and national security, let us look at House Resolution 10,108, the Hazardous Materials Transparency Act. This bill requires the Secretary of Defense to establish standardized community engagement, and emergency preparedness protocols for defense industrial facilities that handle hazardous materials.
This is really about protecting local communities. These facilities would have to coordinate closely with local first responders, designate community liaisons, and maintain transparent notification procedures for residents in case of fires, explosions, or chemical releases. The Department of Defense would also have to submit periodic reports to Congress detailing safety measures, incidents, and corrective actions.
In other security-related legislation, House Resolution 10,092 would prohibit national laboratories from admitting certain foreign nationals. For our military personnel transitioning to civilian life, House Resolution 10,099 directs the Administrator of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration to issue regulations extending the waiver period for the commercial driver's license skills test for certain military members.
And on the justice front, House Resolution 10,098 proposes to provide for the imposition of the death penalty for certain crimes committed in the District of Columbia.
Let us turn to foreign affairs, immigration, and consular operations. House Resolution 10,106 is known as the Visitor Act. This bill addresses the massive backlogs in the United States visa system. It authorizes the Department of State to redirect and transfer specific passport and visa fee surcharges toward general consular operations.
The goal here is efficiency. The bill sets a clear performance goal for the Secretary of State to ensure that 80% of non-immigrant visa applicants are interviewed within 3 weeks of their application, while still maintaining necessary security and protecting citizens abroad.
In other Foreign Service news, House Resolution 10,095 proposes to amend the Foreign Service Act of 1980 to provide per diem eligibility for required leave of members of the Foreign Service. In on-immigration facilities, House Resolution 10,105 proposes to impose a cap on the price of items sold at immigration detention facility commissaries.
We also have a bill focused on education and low-income support. House Resolution 10,097 proposes to establish a matched savings program for low-income students to help them build financial security.
Finally, let us look at the administrative side of Congress. The House of Representatives convened for a brief session on August 13, 2026. The proceedings included a prayer for grace and unity, the approval of the previous day's journal, and the recitation of the Pledge of Allegiance before adjourning until August 17th.
During this brief session, the House handled administrative business, receiving executive communications regarding federal agency rules, reports on healthcare and environmental programs, and notifications of national emergencies. It was also the day many of these bills we discussed were introduced, reflecting a very broad legislative agenda.
As we wrap up, what should our listeners watch out for in the coming weeks?
Keep an eye on the Committee on Energy and Commerce, where the Diabetes Prevention Program Reauthorization Act has been referred. Also, watch for debates surrounding the Data Center Community Reinvestment Act and how the proposed excise tax is received by the tech industry.
That is all for today's episode of Capital Catch-Up. Thank you for tuning in.
See you next time.